What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. Today we're actually talking about productivity, which is actually the second part of last week's video. Well, it's actually last week's video if it's not because of my audio problem. Basically, a couple weeks ago I mentioned about the environment, like the setup that I have in home here, and also when I'm in the cafe. Right now, we're gonna talk about short-term and long-term. So what can you do to help you become more productive right now in the short term and later on in the long term? This video may or may not be two-part. So if this video seems short, then it's gonna be two-part. Then the next part I will upload it next week so that you can capture everything well and you don't need to sit around for too long. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Tips number 1, which is for short term, but this is actually also applicable for long term, just depending on how you see it and how you use it, which is to set a clear goal and analyze the potential consequences. The reasons that I say that this is short term, because that this idea is really powerful when you have something that is going to do coming up soon, but you just cannot do it. You just like maybe you're too lazy or you just procrastinate, you wanna watch movie or something, which is to think about like, okay, let's say that I have exam coming on, which is actually happening like last week when I'm filming this video, right? Like this when the audio is gone. I actually have exam in the evening, and that's why I have to finish the video fast, and that's why I don't have the time to check it, which is obviously a big mistake. And then I have to focus on the exam, because if I don't, obviously I'm gonna get a bad grade and possibly get a C, D, or even fail and have to retake the course. The reason that analyze all these consequences is really powerful, it is because it wakes our signal and let us know that there's a dangers of public embarrassment or maybe potential failure or something that we don't want. This is actually discussed by Tim Urban in his TED Talk. I'll link it down in the descriptions below. It's actually pretty funny. He kind of referred this as a panic monster, but I won't spoil anymore, so you can check it out. The video will be linked down below. After this, feel free to watch it, and I bet you're gonna have a good time too. Now, I mentioned earlier that this is work long term. The problem is that this panic monster that I mentioned about, it won't work when we are still far off the deadline. If you pay attention to your life enough, you know that if there's any essay, if there's anything that kind of like, you know that there's something that you have to do but you just can't do it, usually it's still far out of the deadline, and then when it's close to the deadline, you just miraculously able to do it, right? And this is the thing, even though if you know that there's this potential of bad things going to happen, if it's still far away, it won't work. That's why, if possible, you need to always set a clear deadline and a milestone in how you're gonna achieve by when. And I have a technique that I use in order to achieve those milestones, but those will be in the future points, so stay tuned till the end. Number 2, which is still a short-term fix, which is just a simple go for a walk. Going for a walk, at least in the nature, somewhere outside the house, or even just in the house, go up and down the stairs, it's really useful and powerful because it gets our body going and does produce energy. If going for a walk doesn't work for you, or sometimes it also don't work for me, one thing that I like is the number 3, which is get something to eat and drink. But make sure you don't reach to something just simple sugar, like maybe chocolate or candy or this kind of more of a bad food, because those kind of things, especially high in sugar, obviously you're gonna experience a sugar rush, which will be followed by a crash. You can actually eat anything, but things that work for me is usually high amount of protein and carbohydrate, because at least the carb give me energy and the protein just make me full and feel better. One thing that I also like, if I don't have enough time to cook, is I'll take a bottle of like Ensure, this kind of protein shake, which is look like this, and you can find it mostly available anywhere. But there's also a lot of substitutes for that. You can find a lot of good brand in the market. For you who still lay in the bed or you still watch YouTube, but you can just, you know you have to do it, but you just cannot get out of your bed, then the number 4 tips will work for you. Number 4 tips is actually the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. In case you don't know, Mel Robbins is actually an American lawyer, but she's also a speaker, motivational speaker, author, and a lot of stuff. This is her, and I'll put her credentials and all her stuff down in the descriptions below if you want to check it out. The 5-second rule essentially means that you count yourself down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in your head. She likes to imagine as if the rocket is launching and they're counting 5 to 0 or maybe 10 to 0. But for 5 to 0 is the best. So the way you do this is that, let's say you're laying on the bed and you want to get up, you want to go take a cold shower, let's say, or you want to go to start do some work. The best way is to close your eyes and count yourself 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when it hits 1, just get up with every energy you have. And more than ever, I found it really effective. So I want you to try it out and let me know in the comment sections down below if it worked for you. A lot of people found it even 3 seconds is enough to get you up from the bed and get you going. So make sure you tried it and let me know in the comment sections down below. Tips number 5 is for you and me who this day, let's say today or tomorrow, you have a lot of things to do and you just overwhelmed, which is simply cut your to-do list in half. Maybe you heard the saying that busyness is laziness, and this is true. A lot of us feel like we're not productive enough, we don't produce any result, so we try to get as much things in our calendar and get much things on our plate, which is actually fine, but the problem is sometimes it all down into one day, and that's when everything crashes. Cutting your to-do list by half means that you see your to-do list and analyze which one is more important than other and which one is more urgent and priority than others. And then you simply cross out half of them that is not as important. This is the only time that you are allowed to procrastinate on those stuff that you cross it out. But it doesn't mean that you don't do it, it just means that you reschedule it another day, or maybe it's simply tomorrow morning to get it done because you have too much on your plate today already. One technique that I like to use when I'm cutting things in half is to use the Pareto principle 80-20 rule, which basically explains that only 20% of what you do actually contributes to 80% of the result. With this in mind, it's really easy for you to analyze and to see if what you're doing or what in your to-do list is actually or will actually bring any result to your long-term goals or objective. A real-time example from me right now is that I want to design my personal website again. I have a design way back before, but I don't never use it, so I left it. But right now, with a lot of project in my hand, with a lot of things, I want to create a platform where people can see what do I do, how can people contribute, and a lot more professional information about myself. The problem is that this is not urgent right now. So even though I have this sometimes in my to-do list, if I have a lot of things to do, this is the one that I will eliminate and I will reschedule another time, because obviously it is important for my long-term objective, but not right now. I have a lot of more important things to take care right now, so whenever I got the free time, I can take care of that sometime soon.